Good morning. Saturday after Thanksgiving. It is November 30th at 7:45 in the morning here in western Iowa. Cloudy skies, 15 degrees, a few flurries about. Not here right now, but maybe today, maybe even a dusting. But what about the rest of the country? Well, it's going to be brutal again in Great Lakes. We'll talk about that, of course. And a swath of snow possible along I-70, moving into the Midwest and even into Kentucky, West Virginia. That's where we see our winter weather advisories for today. Also up in the Great Lakes, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, lake effect snow warnings. It's going to be a lot. And then down south is cold, freeze warnings from East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, all across the south. Freeze watches for parts of Alabama, Mississippi, even into Florida, parts of Georgia, and a little bit of fog up there in Kansas, Nebraska, and Montana. Let's check out our weather spotlight as we head to Cleveland, Ohio. This is tomorrow. This is an animated GIF that they provided from the National Weather Service. So tomorrow, another foot and a half, maybe even 2 feet along the lakes. Today, another foot and a half of lake effect snow from Cleveland on north into Pennsylvania. What about Buffalo? Well, how about another 1 to 2 feet today in the most persistent bands? And you have to look really close. So if you're watching on your TV, you might be able to make it out. The graphic on the left underneath the very poor travel conditions within lake effect bands, and you see the dark blue, that's Orchard Park. And that's where the Buffalo Bills play Sunday night. So that'll be fun. Hopefully they don't move the game. I hate when they do that. If they get enough lake effect snow, they'll move the game, and don't do that. We love snow games. People in Buffalo can get around. It'll be great. All right, here are your 24-hour temperature change. It is much cooler in the southeast where we have those freeze warnings and freeze watches in effect. A little warmer in the southern plains, especially Oklahoma into Kansas and Missouri. However, getting colder in Missouri because that's where we're expecting that band of snow from Kansas City to St. Louis, and then on into Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia in time. A little bit of light snow maybe, North Dakota, South Dakota, getting here into Nebraska, even a little bit of western Iowa, but again, probably a dusting at most. Your anomalous temperatures, that's where we see the cold stuff. Below average, northern plains especially, but all the way through the Midwest, through the Great Lakes, into the East Coast, into the Southeast. A little warmer west, but not much above average here. Those highest temperatures kind of most pleasant in the desert Southwest, 70s. A lot of 60s in Texas, but 50s when you get into the Southeast, although Florida is still warm. And then as you head north, it gets colder, of course, and then we see single-digit highs even in North Dakota. Here where I live in Iowa, it's below freezing today again. Highs in the low 20s if we're like low to mid 20s, probably low 20s where I live. Low temperatures tomorrow morning in the teens in Iowa. And you've got -10 in Minot, kind of the coldest on this map. But widespread freezing temperatures, again, 30s all the way down into the southeast. And so it's going to be a cold start tomorrow for almost everyone. Probably the warm spot, Phoenix at 61 to start the day. Surface for tomorrow, we do see the cold stuff north of that stationary front that's kind of stalled out near the Red River. But cooler air making progress into Kentucky, West Virginia with that band of snow. Heavy snow off of the Great Lakes. Light snow in the upper Midwest and northern plains. Anomalous temperatures tomorrow, a lot like today. Northern plains through the Midwest, into the Great Lakes, into the Tennessee Valley, and into the east and even southeast. A little bit warmer for the West Coast, just slightly above average though. Highs tomorrow, again, desert Southwest, 70s, 50s, Pacific Northwest along the coast, or 40s. 40s and 30s inland, 20s again here in Iowa for highs. We've been below freezing for a few days now, and we've got a couple more to go. Teens up there in the northern plains, 20s and 30s through the Great Lakes and the Northeast, 50s for the Southeast. Surface on Monday, that cold air spilling southward into the Southeast still. And we still have more heavy snow off of the eastern Great Lakes. And there's another system heading for the Great Lakes next week. We'll show you here in a second. Rain in Texas and southeastern New Mexico. The anomalous temperatures for Monday remaining cold northern plains through the Midwest, through the Tennessee Valley, through the Mid-Atlantic, through the Southeast and the East, and a little bit warmer still in the West with those high temperatures. Desert Southwest, mid-70s. We're looking near 50, Willamette Valley, 40s inland for the West and Pacific Northwest, cooler in the mountains. Still below freezing here in Iowa Monday, highs in the low to mid-20s. Nice. Teens for North Dakota. Still a little bit warmer for the eastern Great Lakes. We're seeing a couple places in the mid-30s, but temperatures still around freezing here. 50s for the southeast for the most part. All right, let's check it out. The GFS, starting with this morning. Lake effect snow has been going all night. I mean, if you're watching the storm chasers, you know that they're out there rescuing people in 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow in some areas. And it's been snowing all night, and it's still snowing today. And as we showed you, another 1 foot or 2. And so that's kind of the only game in town. Well, that's not the only game in town. We do have our little disturbance here in Kansas, Missouri. That's going to be moving across again, I-70, Kansas City to St. Louis, and then into Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky. The snow jet's still going. The snow bands, as we saw in the Buffalo forecast, are slowly lifting northward today, but still coming off of the lakes. And then again, our little disturbance here. Not much else happening. You see the cold air is still well south into the southeast. We see a little bit of light snow in the Dakotas. This gets us into tomorrow. This is noontime tomorrow. Still snowing off the Great Lakes, still cold in the southeast. That cold air just spilling straight south into the southeast. Kind of a warm bubble, though, for the southwest. That's why it's so nice for the deserts this time of year. If you like warm weather, which most people do. Not me, but most people do. I don't mind warm weather. I just want snow. Anyway, some showers and storms here, South Texas, as we get into Tuesday. This is Tuesday noon. But watch this area here. Moving across the Great Lakes, a storm system, enhancing the lake effect snow, dumping more snow on top of the snow, and then moving towards the coast. Meanwhile, some showers here in Louisiana. This gets us into Wednesday, and our storm system in the Great Lakes moving in towards the coast. It looks like we're finally going to get some snow for New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and a little bit of light snow up here in the northern plains. But yeah, maybe some snow down to the seashore in the northeast as we get into, this is midnight Wednesday. Warming up in the plains Tuesday and Wednesday, but then cooling off again, another cold front moving southward by the time we get into Friday. This is Thursday moving towards noon. And then we see more lake effect snow with our low in Canada. Another system now moving into the Pacific Northwest with rain here as we get into Friday now. This is early morning Friday. System moving into the northern plains. I jumped ahead a little bit, but we're still Friday night. So maybe some light snow, Minnesota, the Dakotas, moving into Wisconsin, northern Iowa, rain in the southeast, cold and windy in the northeast. And a little bit of lake effect snow, but not as bad. But we watch this storm. Maybe some snow in Iowa. Will I get snow on December 7th, Saturday? I don't know. I hope so. Kevin's starting a Bible study that day, so I hope he doesn't get snowed out. But then again, I do want some snow. Anyway, snow moving into Illinois as we go through next weekend. So your forecast through the weekend or your time back. And we try to overperform here, under promise, over deliver. So your forecast through next weekend. Of course, as the further we get out, the less certainty there is. But it could be a snowstorm December 7th moving into the Midwest, into the Great Lakes, and into the Ohio Valley as we go through next Saturday. Kind of a mess here. In North Carolina, could be an ice storm. I mean, again, this is quite a ways away, but we'll see what happens here. More snow. This is probably the heaviest of the year, of the season, if this comes true by the time we get into Sunday. Some pretty good snows for Maryland, Delaware, into even New Jersey. And maybe even the big cities of New York will be on the northern edge of that as that low exits on Sunday. And then another storm in the Pacific Northwest with some ice maybe for the northern plains as we go through next Sunday. All right, let's take a look at the temperature trends for next week. We'll start with Tuesday's highs. Cold Great Lakes warming up a little bit here in Iowa. Will be above freezing for the first time in a week. And warmer temperatures for the southern plains, central plains, and even a little bit warmer Great Lakes and east, southeast as well. So just kind of a warming trend Tuesday into Wednesday. We see that even more. And then as we get into Thursday, here comes the cold air back into the upper Midwest, northern plains, moving southward by Friday. Iowa, we're back below freezing again as we get into next weekend, but pleasant for Texas, 60s and 70s. Same for the desert Southwest, even the Southeast, back into the 60s and 70s, so pleasant, but cold north. And people who live in the South say, you can keep your cold, keep it north. Saturday, that cold air gets a little further south, maybe into Kentucky and the Virginias, but it's still pretty warm. Tennessee south, 40s for Tennessee, 40s and 50s. So, I mean, that's still chilly. But 60s for the southeast and 70s for the desert southwest. Sunday to round out next weekend, warming up again on the plains, but still below freezing here in Iowa. So I've got to believe our local lake is going to start getting ice on it. And again, remember, we might be getting snow on Saturday, December 7th. So we'll see. But anyway, these are your temperatures for next Sunday. 8 to 14 day temperature trend. The best chance for cool weather east, best chance for warm weather west. Alaska, much above average or much above average chance of above average temperatures. Same for Hawaii. And for precipitation, pretty average. Equal chances of near average for most of the country, although a pocket of below average for parts of the Midwest, and then west below average, above average, up above our heads in the northern plains, and down there in South Texas. All right, that is a quick look at your weekend weather through next weekend. And if you're watching the storm chasers, it's going to be, I always say in the chat, come for the snow and stay for the drama as they pull people out of ditches and stuff. It's pretty fun. Anyway, thank you for tuning in the Weather Mike. If we have time, we'll do it again tomorrow. Certainly for sure on Monday. Have a great weekend.